With major news outlets threatening to boycott the White House Correspondents' dinner over last weekend's fiasco with a cursing comedian, the media reaction has been intensely partisan, with the left attacking President Trump, who wasn't even there, and the right attacking Michelle Wolf.
Is it Sarah Sanders? Is it Sarah Huckabee Sanders? Is it cousin Huckabee? Is it Auntie Huckabee Sanders? Like, what's Uncle Tom but for white women who disappoint other white women?
Michelle should have had the decency not to comment on women's appearances in any way, shape, or form. She's a comedian, for God's sake, not the president.
Had a conservative said the things that Wolf said about a Democratic administration, they would be roadkill by now. They'd never work again.
Joining us now from New York, Katherine Timpf, a National Review writer and Fox News contributor. So let's start with the commentators on the left who are defending Michelle Wolf for what clearly some crude, personal, harsh comments against Sarah Sanders, against Kellyanne, against Ivanka, and justifying it by saying, oh, you know, they're all a bunch of liars and they're evil and whatever. What would they have said if such jokes were made against, oh, I don't know, Barack and Michelle or Bill and Hillary?
Of course they would not have had the same reaction. Obviously, because this was a woman on the right, they were able to get away with a lot more. Now, to be fair, also there's a little bit of hypocrisy because a lot of people who are saying that it was an outrage are saying, or don't say that when President Trump makes fun of somebody. So basically everybody's hypocritical when it comes to this situation. Yeah,
well, that was my next question is, you know, people on the right who are just savaging Michelle Wolf as a despicable betrayer of the sisterhood. You feel, and you've written this, that those folks, many of those commentators, give the president a pass for some of the things that he says.
Right. President Trump has made fun of Mika's looks. He made fun of Carly Fiorina's face. He's made fun of Rosie O'Donnell. And everyone was silent. But when a comedian who is there to roast people, that's why she was hired to be there, makes fun of Sarah Huckabee Sanders, then that's an outrage. Either it's an outrage all the time or it's an outrage none of the time.
Right. It's selective moral outrage, which is
Absolutely.
one of my pet peeves. And I have the impression that it kind of drives you crazy.
It drives me absolutely nuts to see this because it's not consistent. I do think that Michelle Wolf's jokes were mean. I think that goes without standing, but she's also a comedian and not the president. And I think that the president should generally be held to a little bit higher of a standard than a random comedian. And people who have had problems with the way she treated Sarah Huckabee Sanders should have some problems with the way that President Trump has treated women in the past. Well, the only difference is the partisan difference.
Well, I think it's fair to direct some outrage at the White House Correspondents Association, which hired Michelle Wolf knowing full well she had a history of crudeness, that she was very anti-Trump, hasn't apologized, and now you have, you know, CBS and The Hill and others saying we're not coming to this dinner in the future unless there are major reforms. And doesn't it play into the president's hands by showing the media to be the symbol of that dinner now looks to be like a whole lot of media bias?
Ironically enough, I do think that President Trump actually came out of this looking like a nice guy. Sarah Huckabee Sanders came out looking very nice and like a victim. And even some people on the left came out to say this was inappropriate. But the White House Correspondents' dinner, I completely agree, knew what they were getting into when they hired Michelle Wolf. So for them to disavow her after the fact, that's kind of a joke to me.
Do you see the same sort of selective outrage in the commentary about, for example, imagine if Barack Obama were under a special counsel investigation and accused of having his lawyer pay money to a porn star? Would we see conservatives and liberals sort of switching sides in some of the outrage that they've, or defense of the president that they have expressed?
We know for a fact that they would switch sides because we saw that with Bill Clinton. Back then, Democrats were saying, okay, he just lied, but it's just sex. It didn't hurt anybody. And everyone on the right was saying this is an outrage. The president's immoral. And now we're seeing the exact same talking points on each side, except they're just flipped.
Yeah, and the circumstances obviously a little bit different because Bill Clinton had sex while he was president. All right, so Saturday Night Live last night does this Stormy Daniels skit and did not use an actress. Let's take a brief look.
Come on, Stormy, stop making such a big deal about this. Everyone knows it's just an act.
I work in adult films. We're not really known for our acting.
So, Kat, does SNL putting on Stormy Daniels herself kind of remove any last pretense that this program is not virulently anti-Trump and it's just about comedy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very anti-Trump, and it's not as funny because of it, because we already know where all the jokes are going to be going. We don't watch a sketch and see Alec Baldwin and say, oh, I wonder what the punchline is going to be here. The punchline is going to be, oh, the president's an idiot, the president's a liar. And the bottom line is, the people who are watching it and enjoy it, they are going to hate President Trump no matter what, but the people who support him, they don't care about Stormy Daniels. They don't care about any of this, so it's not like they're changing any minds with any of these sketches.
Right. It's not like Alec Baldwin hasn't made clear that as a person he detests President Trump.
You
but
can
I wouldn't have
tell
any
by
problem.
the way he acts. Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem with the Stormy actress, but Stormy Daniels herself, really? All right, Kat
Really,
Timpf.
yeah, I've had enough Stormy Daniels.
I think our viewers might agree with you. Great to see you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Now, the UN marked World Press Freedom Day with an ad which ran on MSNBC urging people to consume lots of media. Don't just watch MSNBC, it says. Read The Guardian, read The Atlantic, watch CNN, read The Wall Street Journal, and so on. 25 news outlets in all. But America's biggest cable news network somehow didn't make the cut. Does the United Nations have something against Fox News? Still to come, is it fair to attack Sarah Huckabee Sanders for wrong answers when she's not given the right information? We'll drill down on that in just a moment.